Let's do it.
Like the opening of Beau is Afraid, which I watched 20 minutes of last night.
Oh, Rachel, there's things to discuss. So.
Don't panic, Eric. There's a good reason.
Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the last episode of Bloody Good Horror for the calendar year of 2023. We're here tonight to count down the top 10 horror films of the year. Joining me tonight, first up, coming to you live from Maryland. Maryland, it's where the crabs are. Please welcome John Schnars to the show.
It's home of the Military Bowl today. We had the Military Bowl.
What do crabs do in the winter?
Home of crabs.
We had crab dip. There was crab dip at lunch today. So.
Sounds delightful. Next up from Indiana, please welcome Casey.
Hello.
And last up tonight, this must be her first year-ender with us. Please welcome Rachel to the show.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten in the last couple of years by like somehow gaming the system to get on the list, but now physically I've pushed my way in. Here I am.
You've done it. John, it feels like it's been 100 years since 2022.
Yeah, we've lived many lives. This is true.
It's been a hell of a year.
Sure.
Truly. Well, John, this is the one episode a year when you like earn your paycheck around here. So let's get right into it and count down the top 10 horror films of the year.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. From the prime time. Main feature.
It's time, John. You know I wait for this all year.
I know. Eric, I'm just so excited that finally those nickels that get sent my way, I can truly say I earned.
That's right. That's right.
We've made
Your
it.
shekels.
Sure.
For anyone who might be new this year, let's use Rachel as the cipher. Why don't you explain to Rachel and the world here what we're doing tonight?
Rachel, you love when I mansplain things to you.
Schnarsplain to me, baby.
Schnarsplain. Exactly. So here we are. We are at the end of the year. Every year we poll the BGH community. In this year, we had 12 respondents, 12 glorious BGH. We call them staff members. It's a loose designation. But 12 respondents, and we just asked for your top 12 movies of the year. The one, just so people understand, the rule is that the film had to be made broadly available in 2023. So, like, if it played at, like, I don't know, Fantasia Fest, December 2022, that's fine. It's like, when can, like, the general population see it? That's when we count it. There was an official ballot, which I joked with Rachel a couple weeks back. She helped expand dramatically. Very few votes for some of those movies, but for completeness sake, I'm grateful. And so yeah, we're gonna run through it. So what we're talking about here is not it is the BGH community. It's the BGH staff community, I should say, because importantly, we also have a patron community who also got a say this year, and very exciting. We had our biggest patron vote turnout ever.
Really?
So we're going to get to that.
We're
going to do that at the end. I saved that for the end because I want the patrons to sit on pins and needles the whole show waiting to have their voices heard.
Not John out here edging the patrons. My goodness.
Rachel.
Sorry.
Away we go.
Sorry. Listen, you called me a wild card. Shit's going to get wild.
Guys, I have a bourbon here. I'm going to nurse it as much as I can. I'm going to try to make it to the end of the show in decent shape, but we'll see. We're going to start with honorable mentions. We're going to work our way from 10 down to 1. The way I think I mean, Eric and Casey will remember, Rachel, each movie, I'm going to give you the ranking. I'm going to tell you the number of lists out of the 12 that it appeared on. I'll tell you who had it the highest on any of their list. And then one of the four of us is going to be the presenter. And I'm trying to mix it up a little bit. And I pulled a couple of fun little voting, things
Come on
for
now.
us to discuss.
We should say, John, the YouTube chat already kicking.
That means I either need to drink more bourbon or less. It's hard.
Yeah, what I need you to do is bring the energy, John. This is the most exciting day
I'm
of the
trying.
year, and I need to feel
right.
that from you.
I know. Look, Eric,
Thank you.
you keep on me, bro. You keep on me.
That's right.
I'm here I aim to please.
Let's swell some more of that bourbon over.
All right.
Let's
So
go.
are we ready? Are we ready to go?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right. So I already mentioned we had 12 voters. Some important headline stats to know. 35 total films appeared across the 12 ballots. It's like more or less in line with what? Last year we had 11 voters and we had 31 movies. So
Okay.
it's like, right around the same. There was a very clear line that got drawn between the top 5 and the rest of the movies. And there was a lot. There were probably 15 movies between 6 and like 16. That's not 6. That's not 15. That's 10 movies. But there were 10 movies that were fairly close. We had I think what is our first tie of all time. So we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that
Surely
pretty
we had a tie at some point.
soon. Well, we're gonna get to it because I have a tiebreaker, but even the tiebreaker was a tie.
Do they
So
have to
just
fight
call
Brock Lesnar?
They might. It's a showdown. That's going to be a showdown. All right, so let's get started. I got 2 honorable mentions. It's always hard. You got to draw the line somewhere. Where are you going to draw the line? I drew it at 12. The number 12 film this year is Beau is Afraid.
12?
Number 12.
Okay, I'm already offended. You just started.
I knew, Eric. I should have
Son of a
trigger
bitch.
warned you. I should have trigger warned you. So here's the layout. It was on 3 lists. Eric had it the highest. It was his number 1 movie.
You know what? Because this is like people were abstaining because they don't think it's a horror film.
Eric, don't not start equivocating. You're gonna get your say here in 1 second. I just wanted to point out.
But now I'm
Matilda-
flustered.
Matilda had this at number 2. So
Yeah, because Matilda's smart.
It was you and Matilda very, very high, and then it was on one other list, and then it was not on any other lists. But Eric,
That had to be
proceed.
people just leaving it off their list because true.
Eric
right?
is the presenter.
This is mine.
This is you. Please tell us.
Yeah, but now I'm
what was
just
the film.
pissed, John.
Okay, you dirtbags.
I was when this happened, I was like, oh man, this is gonna derail the whole fucking show. I can't let this. And I was like, what am I gonna do? Just move it up my list? Like, no, that's not happening. So
I do understand that Beau is Afraid is like a divisive film, but this was the movie in the year where I think I realized like if Ari Aster was like, you should jump off a cliff, I'd be like, I mean, he seems smart. I probably should. He is such an incredible filmmaker that just speaks to me. And this thing was like, I don't think I've ever seen a better depiction of what anxiety feels like inside of someone's head when they have anxiety. And it's like, and very specifically when you have these intrusive thoughts about bad things that could happen to you at any moment. I mean, that's basically what the movie is. It's like 3 hours of someone's every intrusive thought coming true, rapid fire, one after the other. Anchored with just like some amazing actors and performances. And I mean, I always say this, but like it's 3 hours long and I didn't even get up to pee, John.
I know.
And I was in my own
And
home.
you
I
love
could have.
peeing,
I
so.
love peeing. So it kept my attention. I didn't pick my phone up. That's also a huge feat for any movie. So to me, like there weren't, we'll talk about it, but there were not a lot of like solid straight horror films for me this year. And I needed, for the sake of my soul, I needed something at my number 1 that actually inspired me this year. And this was top of the list for me. So
I had a moment when I was putting the list together over the last couple of weeks where I was like, Am I leaving this movie off just to spite Eric at this point?
It's possible.
There's a non-zero amount of that happening. But here's the thing.
I'd expect nothing less. It's fine.
Well, and I was just like, what movie am I taking off my list? And like, I could have taken off the 6th, 7th, 8th, whatever. Like, whatever. I mean, because I actually, having whatever now 5-6 months. And sorry, there's a phone ringing because we have a landline here at my wife's parents' house. It's cool. We have now with like 4 or 5 months removed from watching it. It's objectively a really good movie. Like it is a well-made movie. Like the things you said about Ari Aster, I agree with. I didn't love watching it. Like there was a lot of watching it where I was like,
I think Rachel earlier today over text or something described it as an ordeal watching that movie, which is extremely, extremely accurate. Yeah.
That's like your life.
Here's
Eric,
my
so
question:
maybe
I would listen, John. What does it say about me? I related to the movie and the character, so like, I mean, it's clearly part of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead.
Here's the thing: like, if this, the argument about whether or not this is a horror movie, I have not seen all of it. Last night I was trying to watch it, and my power, apparently my electricity was like, and we're done because it shut off, and I was like, well, I guess I'm going to go to bed with half of Beau is Afraid in my head. That's fun. But the question is, if this is not for horror audiences, who is this movie for?
That's always my thing. To me, like
Who
when
is it for?
to me when you're like a certain kind of art house film that's so weird, I always think like no one's gonna have this movie except us. So like we might as well welcome it in because like.
Well, this wasn't me arguing that it's not on the list. Like it was on the list. Like it was.
And it's sort of ironic too because
know.
I feel like Astor doesn't love being known as a horror director because he sort of says stuff in interviews sometimes, and it's kind of like, what do you think this is, friend?
Dude,
like
well,
who's gonna? No
his first two
normies
movies are
walking into
also
Beau is Afraid
fucking-
just off the street and being like, delightful picture. I love it. Like psychos like this kind of stuff, right? Like, I will say too, this is a testament to how powerful I thought it was. Straight to my number one after I watched it, and not a single thing did I even for a second think about booting it for this year.
All right, are we
I'm
ready
done.
to move on? Number 11. This was a surprising one to me. The film is Megan. It was only on 5 lists.
Oh my God, John. What is happening?
I think it's recency bias, right? Like we all kind of just moved on because it was
definitely part of it.
Hold on.
John, I'm terrified to hear what's actually on the list if these two are not on it.
Hold on. So John Shelton had this highest on his list of any of the voters at number 2. So
Wow.
there you go. This group, Eric, you had it the highest of the 4 of us at number 7.
And
So
I
it wasn't
famously
like-
terrible memory, John. So the fact that I kept it up there, to me, it's the best pure horror movie of the year. And by that I mean like there are just no pretensions about it being anything else. We're not talking about trauma. We're not like in the art house. We're not out there. We're not mixing genres. That's just like a horror movie horror movie, and it hits all the beats, and it's just like a shitload of fun.
Yeah.
So, all right, here's what I would say. Because I was actually supposed to be the presenter on this one, but Eric, would you just jumped into that? But that's fine. That's
Sorry,
fine.
John.
I'm not here running the show, or no. I'm just kidding.
I'm not here to make friends, John.
That's fine. I worry Eric doesn't have a say sometimes. That's just a problem. But
You worry I don't get to voice my opinion enough? Is that what
So
you're saying?
I was not on the show when you all watched Megan, and I watched it probably like 3 or 4 months after it came out, and so I missed the thing I would say about Megan. It was a moment, like it was as big a horror moment as there's this year, and a lot of that's social media. It's like, TikTok. It's like shit that as we've famously joke about here, I don't necessarily partake in. I agree with Eric that it is like, it's a horror movie. It's a PG-13 horror movie that does do some damage to some kids, which, like, I don't know, whatever. It just wasn't a movie like. I'm very curious to see what they do with Megan 2. That's what I would say. I'm actually more curious to see what they do with Megan 2 than I am to go back and rewatch Megan 1.
Yeah, Megan was on my list until last week when I finalized things. So it was still hanging in there, so it's probably right around number 11 for me. It was enjoyable, and like you said, it was a good moment. It was a horror moment, and it came right at the start of the year with nothing else around it, so it just kind of blew up huge. It was fun. I'm not knocking it, and like you said, I'm excited to see what they're going to do with the second one, just because it got weird at the end, so I'm excited to see how they play with it.
I just can't imagine what's in the top 10, John. Now you
Eric
have
is-
this is the most I've ever been thrown for a loop before we've even hit the top 10 before.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna lie. Eric is about to have a rough rest of the show. Let's just put it out there.
I swear to
All right,
God,
let's-
if Scream 6 is in the top 5, I'm shutting our show down.
It better not be.
Stand by.
Oh
It's-
dear.
But stand by.
Okay.
I just want to say her name, Allison Williams.
She's
Pretty
great.
fun.
She's great.
She's pretty fun.
Never go to the
Yeah.
second location with Allison Williams, though. It's tempting, but never do it.
My favorite part of
She
her
seems like a good hang. Like I'm down
she
to hang
has-
with Allison
my
Williams.
favorite part of like just little Allison Williams moment in that movie is when the kid's playing with her like nerd action figure and she's getting frustrated because the kid's not doing it right. And she's like, no, but just like you're supposed to do, and he's just like, I love that. I related to that. It's like watching my kid try to play Switch. I'm like, just hit the fucking button. Hit B.
It's good times. All right, let's get into it. Let's get into the top 10.
I'm so
Eric,
scared.
I want you to just strap in. I'm gonna just pre-warn
I'm
you
sweating now.
Uh-huh.
Just imagine you're in the special schnars like nook right now, just like right here, that special place.
I'm just nuzzling him and his
yeah,
his
just
little-
nuzzling. You can be face up, face down. Your
his
choice.
little
This
flip
is your
collar
adventure.
thing he's got on. Okay.
Yes.
So
Yep.
here's what I'm gonna say. And actually, Rachel, you're gonna be the presenter on the next two of these.
Oh no! What did we do this time?
They are what I like to call last year. I rolled out what I called the honorary Z Girls Flex Award.
All right.
We ended up with two of them this year. Number 10. We'll start with number 10, and then we're going to jump into it. I maybe pronounce this incorrectly because I've been drinking, but Husera the Bone Woman.
The Bone Woman.
Number 10.
Yes. Yes.
5 lists. Highest position was Ariel. And Rachel, please.
Yeah, this
What's
movie, I think maternal ambivalence is like a theme that often gets covered in horror, but this was the best version of that I have seen in a very long time, because it wasn't just maternal ambivalence, but the freedom that she gets as a result of accepting that within herself. It had incredible body horror. It was a really interesting take on folk horror. And its use of queerness as like a metaphor for freedom. Like there's just so many things happening on so many levels that I really connected with this film. It's beautiful. It's well acted, incredibly unique and feminist. I loved this movie this year. It like complete, and the sound design of all the bones breaking like really blew me away this year.
That was good.
Did not like. No, I'm
I
kidding.
know.
I like the
I
movie a
know.
lot, but those sounds were very gross.
Oh, okay.
No, it was
Yeah.
a good movie.
Yep. And
I
it
do
also
remember
is
the
a movie that
sounds.
brought me and Whitney together. So, you know, like it has
you
lots
go.
of sentimental value as well.
All right, let's just keep going here. This is where we get our tie, and there are two films. So the way I
So
do
there's
this,
two number 9s.
There's two number 8s.
Oh,
You
Jesus,
skip the
John.
9 and you get 2 8s. Well, so the way it works is if there's like a score that gets output, if the scores are the same, and there were actually 3 movies that had the same score, 7 and the 2 8s, I then use the tiebreak is the number of lists that they're on. So the next 2 movies, very interestingly, are both on 3 lists, and they both are on 2 number 1s. So we have 2 number 8s. I'm going to go with the Z Girl Flex number 2, which is Where the Devil Roams.
Yes.
We didn't do that, right?
No, I tried to get you guys to watch it, and everyone was like, "Boo, his."
So, all right, but let's come back to that. So it's on 3 lists. It is both Matilda and Rachel's number 1.
Wait, is this the one by the Addams family?
Correct.
Gotcha. Yes, I remember
Rachel,
Boo
I'm
hissing
gonna-
that.
I'm going to cede the floor to you, Rachel, but I will say I watched the first like 45 minutes to an hour last night just because I was like, I gotta get some of this in. And then I was going to try to finish it before the show, and I didn't have time. But
What did you think of what you saw?
okay.
All right.
These
I got you.
Addams Family movies. Here's what I'm going to say. I am very pleased they are being made. They're like vibe movies more than they're like
Actual movies.
Like, there were multiple things happening during this first half of this movie that I wasn't 100% sure I was even understanding. But it's like what they're doing is cool. Like I'm here for it and I support them. I will also say, and then I'll stop talking and Rachel, you talk, because this is your number one movie. The acting is very uneven. Like there are times where I'm like, no. But
I mean, it's like a very like indie DIY film where they like write it, direct it, star in it, cast it, edit it, do the score for it. Like it is a
That's
passion
the part
project
I
they do as a family. Yeah.
I'm just like, cool.
Okay. Well, that's fair.
I'm
You're
very
allowed to
curious
have
to know
your
how it
opinion.
ends. Can you tell me how it ends? Can we just get into how it ends now?
I don't want to spoil it for we can talk
like a
about it
spoiler,
off
John.
if you would like to know. I can totally tell you about it, but I think literally every frame of this movie is a piece of art. It is stunning and beautiful, and the way that you only got 45 minutes in, but the way that they use like vignetting, like thematically to match like the internal life of the characters is incredible. I think visually it's beautiful, and I think maybe it's a situation where you either dig what they do or you don't. Like how you will watch like any Cronenberg movie and be like, "This is fantastic," because the thing that he's tapping
true about
into
John.
is the thing that connects to your heart. They thematically and visually are doing something that I really respond to. I think the stuff they're exploring about family and what it is to be monstrous in that movie is really interesting. I think that I'm moved by the fact that they do it as a family and like so much of the love is literally on the screen. I find their movies incredibly thought-provoking. I actually think the performances are great, especially Toby Poser in this, who plays this like she does the thing that I love most, which is like women behaving badly but also quiet menace. Her performance to me, like when I was watching it, I've described it as like Tuval singing. There's like all of these layers to what she's doing, where there's like an upper layer that is kind of like pitched to being very like soft and gentle, and then there is this incredibly sinister layer below it. I don't know.
That's the
like,
mom, right?
Yes, that's the mom. And I don't know, that scene with the dentistry is one of the most gruesome things I've seen all year. My God.
That was like right before I turned it off. The dinner
Mm-hmm.
scene where they're like going after the guy who buys the farm.
Yeah.
Oh my, everything you say I agree with. And like I will reserve some judgment to like finish watching it. And there was a moment where I'm like, even watching half of it, I was like, could this get to like 9 or 10? Would I bump some stuff? Maybe, but I just, then I was like, you know what? I can't make changes at this point. Like I said, I'm very happy I'm happy these movies. The thing that they reminded me of, are you familiar with Jim Jarmusch? Have you watched any of the Jarmusch movies?
A little bit. Yeah.
Like Dead Man is probably like the most.
Yes.
I think we did one on the show years ago, didn't we?
Yes.
Oh, he did
See,
the
to me-
zombie thing.
Yeah,
He
the
did the
zombie.
zombie.
Murray.
He did the Dead
Yeah.
Don't Die. Yeah.
To me, I was getting like way better art house, non-edgelord Devil's Rejects from the movie. Like at no point am I going to be forced to listen to the entirety of Freebird. You know what I mean?
Right, I can do that on my own time, and I do.
Right.
I don't think they have the budget to play all of Freebird either.
Why
I'll
would
just
they?
put
They're
my
making
workout
better music
playlist on.
anyway.
Well, and I do love. It's funny because it's not even the music that I like listen to just like in my own casual time, but like they come in with the fucking like heavy bass and just it's like it's cool. It is. I mean,
Yeah.
there's
I
a
think
lot
their
going
music
on.
is getting better and better. I think you can see Zelda's direction. She does all of the drone shots. I think her direction's getting really impressive. I don't know. I just think it's like scrappy, awesome indie filmmaking that is beautiful and harmonic.
It's a cut
and, I don't
above
know. I love
Hellbender
it.
for me. Like I I mean, Hellbender was fine. Like I didn't, but was that last year or 2 years ago? I can't remember.
That was
but,
last year, and then a few years before they did The Deeper You Dig, which was also excellent.
Yeah, I thought this was, so.
Yeah.
All right, so Casey and Eric might watch it at some point. We'll see.
I will come on and defend.
All right.
Just bring on all the zombie girls, and we'll like girl explain it to you.
I mean, that's fine. We're here for it.
You just don't get the metaphor of what's happening.
The other number 8 was also two people's number 1, but it was only on 3 lists, and that movie was Poor Things. Eric, this was one that you and I shared.
That's probably one that A, not everyone got out to see, and B, that was another one where people were being pedantic, I think, about what qualifies as horror. Although Poor Things versus Beau Was Afraid, I think Beau Was Afraid is a much clearer argument that it is a horror film, but they definitely both fall in that insane art house, like, come on in kind of thing. Like, no one else is going to have you. You can be my child. You going to talk about Poor Things, John? Yeah, me too.
I was going to talk about, but like I can also we can all have her say. And Casey, did you end up seeing it? I never.
I have not gotten to see it.
Okay.
Yet, unfortunately.
All right. Well, so maybe we'll have an adjusted list when Casey gets to it. But
yeah.
And Rachel, I don't know if you got to see it. You did, right?
Not
No?
yet. Every time I get an A24
Oh.
package, I get very excited, and then it's
Rachel.
like the Iron Claw, and I'm like, fuck.
Rachel, you first of all send me the Iron Claw. I will watch
Yeah,
it.
Okay.
I'm excited for
Second
that
of
too.
all, you have to go see Poor Things. Like, you personally have to go see
Yeah.
it.
I do.
So
I do.
Eric, I mean, so this was my number 1 movie. I feel like similarly as you do about Beau with this movie. Like,
So I mean, I did too. It's my number 2.
I know it was
think.
your number 2. Yeah, right. Like it
Holy moly.
yeah. So this, well, it's funny. So this
And I've never liked one of that guy's movies either.
Oh yeah, Yorgos. Yeah, that's true. You said you didn't.
I'm the Yorgos hater on the show, and he won me over.
I'm a Yorgos lover. I celebrate all of the Yorgos canon, but this is the best. Like, it's the funniest. It's like in some ways it's like the one you have to work the least for in like a good way. But it's also operating at like different levels, and like there's a lot of like nuance to it. The stuff that's happening with the characters here, like some of the most dense and interesting characters in any movies that I've ever seen, or like that. Certainly of the last year, yeah, I just loved it. I was describing it, and maybe I said this on the show, but it's like a Wes Anderson movie, but filtered through, Rob Zombie or like somebody with.
Oh, dude, I love
You
that.
are not selling this.
It's like Wes Anderson
That's such a
filtered
weird-
through the Addams family.
With a whisper of Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a staggering piece of art. Like, it's beautiful, thematic. There's like a ton of really graphic sex in it, and like lots
is.
of gender stuff, and the set pieces are all gorgeous. Like, man, it's just amazing. Emma Stone, like, it's such a weird film. Like, will she get nominated? But if she doesn't, it is like a
She's
travesty.
definitely going to get nominated.
And
Well,
honestly,
she also produced this movie. Like, I think she really pushed to help. Get this
she
movie,
is
my
amazing in
understanding.
it. And then I don't want to take away from her, but like Ruffalo
Yeah,
is
he's
next
really good.
level. And I'm not even a big like Mark Ruffalo fan. He fucking
Yeah.
blew my mind in this movie. He's so funny. Like, watching him in his
I'm about
slow
it.
descent into madness because of this relationship is like, it's so
Oh, it's
good.
very good.
Sounds great. I can't wait.
I mean, and I know a lot of people haven't seen it. I don't want to spoil it. And dude, and Willem Dafoe's in this movie, and he's like the third person you would even talk about. Like,
That's why.
dude,
Well,
the bubble thing is like,
Yeah,
I will never
he's
forget
perfect.
that. It's so weird.
Well, and that's when I was talking about the like depths of some of these characters, like the Willem Dafoe character. There's layers to it that sort of, as you get to the end of the movie and his relationship to Emma Stone, it just because it's done for jokes that he was just horrendously abused by his father, just like abused to a level that He's very scarred. I mean, Rachel, you're making faces, but
It is so funny.
if
It is.
you've seen the
It is.
trailer,
It is
like,
a.
I haven't even watched the trailer because I was
He's
like,
very
I'm
And
going
it's like
scarred.
it's so bizarre, and I think people don't really, in the theater experience especially, they don't really know what they're walking into, and so what you feel is the audience being like, "Wait, is this funny?" And then like 10 minutes in, everyone's just
so
like
good.
losing it because you just have to laugh
Yeah.
at it.
Exactly.
It's brilliant.
So that's it. Poor Things, number 8. That's number 8 and 8. We have 2 8s, remember. Number 7, this was again tied with Poor Things and Devil Roams. However, it was on 7 lists. Highest position was actually number 4 for Shelton. So this is like the exact opposite. This is like a movie that made a lot of different lists. Wasn't super high on anyone. Casey, you had it the highest though. The movie is Thanksgiving.
Ah, yes. Thanksgiving goes, so that's definitely some recent bias because, it's fresh in
For
our
sure.
minds. But at the same time, the movies, it's a solid horror movie and it's a fun little slasher. We haven't had a fun slasher for a while, and it's really kind of calls back to stuff that there's definitely some 80s elements to it, but I think it's definitely more like an early 90s, mid 90s slasher too. And it's just a fun ride throughout, and it's a nice turn from Eli Roth too. Like, he wasn't obnoxious and gross and up his own butt too much on this one. It was like well restrained for him, and I think it was a nice balance. So I enjoyed the characters. We got to see McDreamy again, but yeah, overall it was fun.
Most beautiful man alive, I think. What's
Yeah.
That's right. He was the most beautiful
sexiest man
this year.
alive.
Sexiest
Sexiest
man
man.
alive.
One or
yeah.
two, once or
like
twice,
Pedro
I think.
Pascal isn't out there just being Pedro Pascal.
He didn't have an Eli Roth movie to promote, Rachel. So
Yeah,
it's all
I mean-
synergy.
Yeah.
I also
I think I might have last minute kicked that off my list entirely after putting it on there.
Yeah,
I can check if
I
you
can
want,
see
but
it. There-
you know.
It's not for everybody, but I was really impressed.
It's not
too,
bad.
Though,
It's a romp.
I really was really impressed on how he redid the scenes from the original trailer and amped them up a little bit, and I just thought that was a fun touch too, to go back and discover and see how close he got them, as well as how much more improved they were.
Yeah. To Eric's point, this was my pure horror movie of the year. Like, I was like,
Yeah.
this is
It's
the
definitely a
movie
pure-
Scream wanted to be. Like,
Yeah.
this is the fun and the like meanness and the gore that we like go to slashers to like get, and it feels like is harder and harder to come by. It's such a throwback that I was like, it's going on the list.
Yeah,
Well,
it's just simple and by the numbers.
Yeah, there's no punches getting pulled in the way that some of the slashers do now, right? What
Right.
We talked about the scene when we did the show, but what's her name? I'm going to forget her name now. But the woman who, when she falls down and then the shopping cart runs over her hair and then it like pulls part of her scalp.
Oh, Gina
off.
Gershon.
Gina Gershon, yes. Just
Yeah.
chef's kiss on that one.
That dumpster, whatever, not decapitation, debodification. I don't know, bisection,
Plus,
Vivisection.
I'm a bitter
bifurcation.
that one I know.
Very nice. Good.
I'm a bitter old man too, so anchoring this whole movie off of basically lampooning Black Friday, I'm on board. You've got me one over.
Yeah. Well, look, I think we're going to be getting at least one more and maybe multiple Thanksgiving. I'm very curious what they're going to go with.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
they're already
what's-
greenlit this.
I will
didn't they?
definitely agree with Casey and Rachel. Like, if you're looking for a pure horror movie this year, that's one of the few.
When you and your family are gathering around the table to enjoy some turkey, you fire up Thanksgiving. It's what
That's
you
right.
do. It's just like the new horror, moment of the year.
That
So, yeah.
ship mask scene too.
Yeah,
Cheer-
that was
cheers to
A
that.
plus.
All right,
Let
let's
us
move.
not forget, John, that I fell asleep in the third act of that movie.
Yeah,
Well, you
I
did
woke up
kick it
and
off
went,
your list.
"Oh, he's the killer." I did
did
take
check.
it off my list.
It was not on your list, so we can't even give you a hard time. After
yeah,
the
that's
fact.
the one that Schnarr spoiled for me too.
That's
Yes, Schnarr spoiled it over text. That's right. He was like, "Blah blah blah's the killer." I was like, "John, Casey hasn't."
That was
Casey
not
just
how it
said
went.
he was about to go see it,
that was not how it went down, but
It was
Fair
pretty
enough.
close.
and then
All
John
right.
said, "Screw Casey. I don't care about his feelings." That's what happened next. I thought that was over the line, but
I remember
But
it
it still
differently.
made my
but-
list, so you
Yeah.
know, it says a
You
lot
know
for the
he
movie.
enjoyed it. You know he enjoyed it.
someday I'll watch it again. And I'll find out the killer's motive.
There you go. All right, so here we are. This is the last, because at this point, number 6, like I said, we're going to draw a line, and then there's really a top 5 that was separated. Let's say. So number 6, the movie is Evil Dead Rise. It was on 6 lists. Adam had it as his number 1 movie of the year. Remember Adam, space lawyer. Adam.
I do remember Adam.
Adam, a delightful list.
He's still on our staff.
Adam,
I'm just kidding. I love you, Adam.
Just a shout out here.
I actually think I said let Adam vote because he's delightful.
So Adam is doing a podcast that I may be joining that is called Bad for Me. And I listened to the Steel Magnolias episode. So every week they review sad movies. It's him and his co-host Graham.
I
It
love
was a
that.
delight. I was
So now you've
chuckling.
gotten his hopes up that you're actually going to appear on a show.
No, I'm going to. He asked me to pick a
Okay.
sad movie, and Eric, I have a hard time feeling emotions. That
yes,
way
I'm aware.
sometimes. So
You and Rachel.
On a Godzilla movie though, and
whoa,
woohoo!
stand by.
Yeah, that's why it was so off-putting. He was so moved by Godzilla. It's like, okay.
I was. All right, so Eric, you were the presenter here, which I presume means you had it the highest, or maybe on your list at all. Let's see. I can check these, but go ahead. You just start talking.
Wait, this is really funny. I got distracted for a second and forgot what movie we were talking about. Say it
It's
again.
Evil Dead Rise.
No, I did not have this on my list.
No, you're right. You didn't, but
I didn't care
I'm
for
asking you to
But
present.
do it anyways.
it. Did no one else here have it on their list?
No, it was not on any of our lists, but it was on
Okay,
6 of the
well,
list.
Evil Dead Rise, I think it was a huge step down from the first new Evil Dead. I didn't like it very much. It's very forgettable, except for the end when there's like a chimera of like zombie bodies tied to like a rat king. That was pretty cool. Other than that, like I don't really understand what
It's a weird
people like
pro-life
about it.
movie. I don't like it, but I did like
Is
the
it?
opening scene. I did like the opening scene.
Sort of, except it has
Oh,
no
the
point
opening
and it's
scene
not
was
really
good.
connected to the movie. That like it's
I know, but I like the scalping. The scalping was a good time.
Yeah,
No, I agree.
that's
yeah. I don't think it's very good. That's what
No.
number 6. Yay!
It was on my. It was on my list for probably a good couple months after we'd seen this, but like Eric said, ultimately this movie's forgettable. So by the time I'm looking at the list at the end of the year, I don't even remember half of it. So
I'll tell you, I just feel bad for making Eric the presenter on this one. Let's just we can
Don't.
leave it
That
at
was great. Like, give me more movies I didn't like.
This is going to be the next sad movie that Adam reviews. It's like the time I
their
sent in
view.
my favorite movie, and Eric.
And there's a
tore it
lot of people
apart.
out there that liked that Evil Dead movie too that are real fired up right now, which I love even more.
No. I mean, it definitely had its defenders / fans, which again we may discuss later in the show, just as a little preview. And so yeah, Evil Dead. I don't know. Like, I'm kind of. This is another one where I'm like, I didn't love it, but I'll watch another one of these. Like, they're clearly going to make more.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll be less pro-lifey, Rachel, and then we can all celebrate.
It
I don't
has
know.
its moments. I liked the Peepeye Lynn's kill scene was a lot of fun. I liked the bank underneath. I liked the world expansion of the 3 Necronomicons. Like, there's cool things in it. It just, like, the themes fell really flat for me.
It felt. I think one of my biggest issues with it is it felt like a smaller movie than even though the Evil Dead there's only like 5 or 6 people in that, but like I don't know.
it just didn't feel, and to me too, while there was some crazy gore and kills in this, it didn't feel as brutal as the first remake.
I mean, that first one was so
The
good.
first one is very, very good. Yeah,
So good.
it is. All right, let's move it along. So here we go. We got a top 5 here, and as I said, there's a clear. There was a clear break between the top 5 and the rest of the list. So we're gonna jump right into it. Number 5, Godzilla -1.
Nice.
I will say off the top, this was the most incorrectly submitted list, both among the staff voters and the patron voters.
What do you mean incorrectly? Like spelled
There
wrong?
were people calling it Godzilla minus 0. There was Godzilla minus the numeral 1.
Be
Like,
me.
What did I call it? That's funny. Now I wonder.
Maybe.
It was me.
No judgment.
No,
judgment,
you're right.
but-
I'm looking at my list, so I know I messed that one up.
let's put
That's
it this
very
way,
funny.
I had to work to fix the Godzilla more than a lot of the other voting. It was on 6 of our 12 lists. One, Casey had it as his number 1
Nice.
film of the
Yes.
year.
Amazing.
I was blown away by this movie, folks, and I guess it's only been a couple weeks now, but I'm ready to watch it again, and maybe again after that. How much I enjoyed it. But this movie, I was surprised more than anything because this is a Godzilla movie. You're gonna see Godzilla stomping around, pissed off, destroying buildings, blowing stuff up. A plus. But then there is a whole other story that's going on with these characters in this movie, and it's just, I really bought into it. It's really engaging. It's very sad. It's very compelling. Yes, they can be a little over the top sometimes. The actors could be in their deliveries, but I just really bought into it. And it's a really touching story with this little family unit and the struggles they're going through in the post World War II Japan. So
Don't
yeah,
forget
this is-
the bros in the boat, dude.
Oh, the bros in the boat were able.
I just like his little eyes going in the water
Yeah,
like a little snake.
yeah.
So cute.
And
I just love the boat crew.
and we can't have this, delivered on the list without mentioning Baby's Got Back.
Oh, so thick.
Yes. Yes.
Probably
This-
the horniest conversation we had all year, and it was about
Yeah.
a lizard.
This was my number 2 movie. I co-sign everything Casey said. I don't think of myself as a Godzilla person, but then I saw this movie and I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'm a Godzilla person now. So,
I gave me similar feelings.
yeah.
Yeah, this was a
Good
good one
times.
this year for sure. Are you guys going to see it if they really re-release it in black and white like they're doing in Japan?
Oh yes, I hope they do.
Oh shit.
The trailer
I had not
looked
heard
pretty
of that.
cool.
Yeah, and so far it's only coming out in Japan, so hopefully we'll get an announcement that it's coming to the
They're
States.
gonna want that American dollar. Come on, it's coming.
Oh yeah, it cleaned up here, so yeah, they know what they got.
And like, what
There's a
else is
lot
in the
of
theater in
Caseys and
January?
Johns out there. Yeah, it's true.
They heard this John's heart grew kaiju size when he saw it. So
A plus.
All right. Number 4. We're getting so close. This movie was on 8 lists. But it only got to number 2 for Adam and Caitlin. Of the group of us here, I think I had it the highest. The movie is Talk to Me. So, here's what I will say about Talk to Me. I will say what I said on the show. I think I said, this movie was directed by some YouTube jabrones. I didn't know who they were. I didn't
Some
know anything about
YouTube
them.
jabron.
When I hear that a movie is directed by people who make YouTube videos, I'm
That
like,
was so derisive, and I love you for
I
that.
roll my eyes very hard. I'm usually like, oh, I don't know about this. I thought it was excellent. I thought, and the when I say that it's not a perfect film. Like there's certain I think the ending of this movie is probably the place that I have the most question or it sort of like, whether or not they brought it home the way that the rest of the movie kind of held together. However, for me, this movie had a vivaciousness to it. There was
Energy.
a vitality. Yes, there was, and I attribute that back to the fact that there are some YouTube jabrones and they know a thing or two about making movies / little films, whatever, shit on YouTube that people want to watch. They brought that energy to this movie in a way that, look, I wish more movies had it. Because, we see
You got
so many
big
movies.
fellow kids energy going on right now, John.
Well, it's just, no, I don't watch shit on YouTube for the most part.
You know what? I'm not gonna
It's
say
not
anything.
usually for me, but
'Cause
this
I
was for me. No, please. Because I actually don't know that you had to, I think this was not on your list.
No,
You
I don't really have
actually
anything
were
positive
a
to say.
hater.
It's okay. I think that movie is at its best when it's doing that montagey stuff, and then when it's not, I don't think it really knows what to do. That was kind of my
Yeah.
issue with it.
I don't think
just
you
kinda
like pure horror
flattened out.
movies, Eric.
It kind of flattened out for me once we got out of that first act where we're like, having crazy hand parties, which is different than it sounds if you haven't seen it.
I didn't see that cut.
Then I just felt like it just became kind of a rote supernaturally thing. And I was like, yeah.
That's kind of where I was, and this one definitely suffered from being overhyped for me. There was so much talk about this. By the time I sat down and watched it, I'm like, oh, that wasn't that exciting.
I'm blown away when I see people like bought the replica hand. I'm like, man, y'all will just buy anything A24 puts out. You have the hand, don't you, Rachel?
No, but I really want it. I hit it really hard for it for Christmas, and nobody got it for me.
That's really funny.
Oh, Rachel.
That thing is awesome.
It is a good prop. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if maybe I saw it at Sundance, so like I went in totally cold, no idea what it was going to be, and then I saw it again at a press screening where everybody was just like going crazy for it.
I do
And
think
it
that a
was-
different kind of atmosphere maybe in the theater could have helped, but I didn't.
And
know
also
that.
there was no hype. So like I came out of it like this, I had a really good time. I had no build up around it. It was just one of the movies that I was like, oh, this is in the horror genre, I'm going to watch it. And
You know
then-
who
so
was
then when it came
responsible
out-
for the hype, Rachel?
Yeah, people like me. I know, but I stand by my experience, which was
I salute you.
surprisingly gory, really heartfelt. I felt like Sophie Wilde did an incredible job, like aching performance. The second time I watched it, knowing what was going to happen to that kid, like I had like deep dread because I felt like they had done a really good job of establishing those relationships and making me care about the characters. I felt like they felt like real ass teenagers doing real dumb ass teenager shit. I don't know. I just thought it was pretty great, even though it's not perfect. But yeah, I was kind of surprised by the backlash. Like, I think people kind of wanted to hate it. I don't know. I don't
You
know.
know,
Have you
There's
met
definitely
Eric?
some of
Are
that,
you
too.
familiar with Eric, actually?
You know, I love a good backlash, Rachel.
Yeah, what I'm looking forward to is like I want the pendulum to swing. Oh shit, sorry mate. And you learn to love it, and then be like belated on Twitter, like, did y'all hear about this movie? Was that look good?
I really think my issue this year was like Barbarian was dropped at the end of last year and was so goddamn good that nothing this year stood a chance. Like, it may be another year before I'm over how good Barbarian was.
Fair enough. I mean,
Yeah.
poor Talk to Me has to live in Barbarian shadow, I guess. So, Rachel, apologies. I'm just going to pre-apologize because the number 3 film is actually Rachel's number 1 film. I'm fairly certain she can keep me honest on this. I said Where the Devil Roams was your number 1 film, but it was actually Ariel and Matilda's number 1 film, not yours. I think it was your number 2. And the number 3 film is Rachel's number 1 film. It was on 8 lists. The movie is Birth/Rebirth.
Yes. Yeah. This movie like completely rocked me. And there were times where I thought about maybe moving it down, for other things that came up later. But at the end of the year, like when it was time to actually sit down, the thing that I had enough time with to know that it was totally sticking with me was this movie, which completely rattled me and blew my mind. And the performances, like Maren Ireland, who plays the sort of the not a
Dr.
mortician, but
Frankenstein?
the Frankenstein character is just so like a fascinating character study, and she does such a great job of like infusing heart into a character that is like clearly very sociopathic. I don't know. I loved the dynamic of the main characters. I loved how transgressive it was. I liked the exploration of body autonomy, like the bold exploration of bodily autonomy in this film. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Also,
Yeah.
restroom hand jobs. Like there's so much to love about this movie.
I was gonna
Right,
say,
that's
is
how
it
that
sex
movie
positive? I
opens.
don't know. It's something.
That's how that movie
Restroom hand
opens.
jobs with breast pumps.
Yeah, as you do.
God.
What?
Yeah.
This hasn't happened to you at the local
How else you
Cracker
gonna do
Barrel
it?
bathroom? I don't.
I've been
I don't know
going
what's
to Cracker Barrel for weeks.
Just waiting.
no, this one
I
rocked
really
me.
like this. No, I
I liked it
strongly
as well.
agree.
Yeah.
I think it was actually on all 4 of our lists now that I think about it.
Yeah, it was my number 5.
Yeah, it's a sweet movie. It is. It's funny because like it has the sort of traditional horror element. Like there's not like a bunch of jump scares. There's not a bunch. There are tense moments, but it almost plays more like a Cronenberg film in some ways, Rachel, as you referenced earlier, which I love about it. I always appreciate the let's have kids in fucked up situations.
That's Spinal Tap, though. Ooh.
That's just a choice that you make as a director / writer, whatever. And they went with it, and it works here. It is. It's a movie that I will certainly remember longer than I might remember a lot of other movies.
Yeah, definitely.
It gets under your skin for sure.
But Marin Ireland, was that the right last name?
Yeah.
She was really made this movie for me. That's why it's at number 5, because she was so good at that character, and she made you so uncomfortable, and it's just I loved it.
Yeah, and just seeing Judy Reyes play against type, like the
Yes.
opposite of her Scrubs character in this is really, really great. This movie is like incredibly daring, and you want to talk about an ordeal of a movie. Like the final act of this movie is a freaking ordeal, especially when you're like realizing you're back to where you started, and you're like, oh no. Yeah, this one's a
There's
gut
only
punch.
so many bathroom hand jobs you can do is the hard part, you know.
Feel bad movie of the year. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Hold on. We got a couple more feel bad movies to come, so sit tight.
This one does, require showering afterwards, though.
Yeah. Well, again, strap in, my friend. For our last 2 movies of the year, I probably should have said up top, we did not have a single movie that was on all 12 ballots. So, not the first time that's ever happened.
Interesting.
That's happened in the past. However, the top 2 movies were both on 11 of the 12 ballots. So there was a pretty clear, in my mind, one. I mean, it's pretty clear 1 and 2. So we'll get right into it. Number 2. This was on 11 lists. It was only number 1 on 1 list. That was for Natalie. Rachel, I'm actually going to turn it back to you because you had it at number 3. The movie is Infinity Pool.
Yeah, I know you guys
Nice.
did not love this movie, but
It got boosted up my list by the end of the year just because nothing else moved me.
Wow, that faint praise is making me feel like we're on the same side for sure of this conversation. No, I love this movie. Like I have to say, Brandon Cronenberg is my Cronenberg because his exploration of the dark parts of the human soul by way of body horror is exactly the flavor that I want. I've loved every single one of his films, and I'm so excited to watch like the arc and like what he is exploring. Mia Goth in this is stellar. She is like full camp and just at the peak of her powers in this movie. And watching,
all I can hear now is her screeching.
Oh my god! All I can watch is her like beckoning him over to breastfeed. Like there's so much in this movie. Visually, I think it's really interesting, and this is another one that absolutely stuck with me from the moment I saw it, like, and just really solidified my appreciation of Brandon Cronenberg as a filmmaker. Like now I trust him, like anything he puts out, he is my Ari Aster. I'm going to jump off a cliff for Brandon Cronenberg.
Ari Aster, you're just like, go fuck yourself. But
Well, I watched Strange Thing About the Johnsons. I ain't trusting him for shit. like
yeah, I mean, look, I'm a noted Cronenberg lover. I celebrate all the Cronenbergs. I think The Daughter has a movie that either came out or is coming out. I haven't seen it yet, but this movie, here's the thing. We went on a little bit of journey with this movie, Eric, Casey, and myself, because I insisted that we watch the uncut version. That was some nonsense.
So we put it off for a little while, and then I don't.
so.
But did we watch the uncut version? I feel like we just ended up
watch.
You needed to see it. There are visual moments in the uncut version that are not. I've seen both versions.
Tell us about it,
Oh,
Rachel.
interesting.
Like the orgy scene is way cut back. Like some of the most unique and graphic moments from.
I
that
do
orgy scene are
remember
not in the other
that
version.
orgy scene being lengthy.
Yeah, it was a lot.
I mean, correct.
I remember reading it was a lot of extra dong, too.
Yeah, well, I thought it was.
Well,
What you
like
want.
you did. You got to get the turducken genitals. Like if you don't get that, are you even watching the movie?
What are you watching?
Let's not waste anybody's time.
But I feel like again, for me personally, I already said I love this movie. I think it was like my number 3 or 4. I'd have to go look at my list. I did I felt like I probably should have gone and seen it in the theater. I feel like that would have been the better experience than forcing everyone to wait until we found the uncut version and then be like, okay, it was kind of whatever extra, but like
You
I
need
would
that
have got-
turducken on the biggest screen possible. I'm
like,
on IMAX.
For
the
me,
Mia
it
Goth
like
moments were all there.
for me, it very specifically stayed on my list because of Mia Goth. Like, she is so fascinating to me. First of all, because she literally has the voice of like a Victorian doll. But
Yes,
like when you
a
hear her
haunted
speak,
one.
a haunted Victorian doll, yeah. But like she really strikes me as an actor that approaches acting as like a dangerous art form. Like she really wants to find stuff at the edges and give herself over to it fully, which is interesting because she's also like, I mean, she could be out winning Oscars if she wanted to, I believe, but she's choosing to do these like edge things. Like she's out here doing Ty West movies and this thing and whatever is going to like push her to the most uncomfortable portrayal of humanity she can actually get to. And I have just a deep respect for that. And she is hauntingly strange on screen is the only way I can put it. And so
I'm
like
sure,
she
but-
is specific. I mean, all the weirdness aside, I think her performance is what makes the movie so memorable.
I think Maxine is going to be like totally chill and normal though, so I'm
yeah.
not worried.
Yeah,
Family friendly. Bring the kitties. It's gonna be a great time.
seems chill.
What is the gentleman's name who we just
Joe
we have
Ferry
to say
says,
his
"Listen
name.
to her say blueberry."
Oh my god. I bet it's
Alexander Skarsgård.
Blueberry. Yeah.
I feel like we just got to say the Skarsgård.
Oh, by the way,
Yes.
speaking of her commitment though to like living the most insane life possible, she then
No.
married Shia LaBeouf and had his kid.
Ugh,
Yeah.
that's a bad idea.
It's probably not going to end well. Let's just, we'll
Are they
put that
still
out there.
together?
Yeah.
Maybe they're
Probably. I
in love.
don't know.
I mean,
Eric, you don't know. It's just they could be.
He's not great, John.
meh.
He's got problems.
Yeah, he's got some stuff going on.
Let he who is without sin, and so forth, or whatever. All right, guys. Are we ready to talk about the number one movie of the year?
I can't
Hell
imagine.
yeah.
What,
I
I can't.
what could it be? Should we take a
Eric.
guess?
Eric is just.
Oh, I know what it is.
I just want him to strap in, and if he needs to turn his camera on,
This
just, like,
is
take
easily
off.
like the
I
year
know.
that I have felt the most out of sync with anyone else voting. Maybe I'm losing it, John.
Well, no. I mean, we can come back to
Is
that.
it
Maybe I'm-
Skinamarink?
That would be,
With the show is
come
then
on,
guess what?
show.
If it's Skinamarink, we're never getting to episode
Yeah.
800 because I quit.
Yeah. You're gonna cut the feed immediately. You're gonna block
You just
us
said
on
that,
your
and
phone.
I know that's not true, but I got so mad.
It's all right. So listen, the number one movie of the year. Let's just get into it. It's on 11 lists of the 12 voters. Highest position was number one for Whitney, Caitlin, and John Sheldon.
Ooh.
Casey, you had it at number two. It is When Evil Lurks.
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah. That's another one that was a recent one, but man, that is a brutal movie. And I'd heard people, that's one there.
And it is a pretty
was
straight
hyped.
up horror film.
Yeah, it is. And
Yeah.
but that's one that got hyped up too a lot. There's a lot of buzz when that thing dropped on Shudder a couple of weeks ago. And it actually lived up to the hype for me
Yeah.
for this one. It was just like, oh, wow. Some of the places they go in this, it just gets darker and darker. And the acting was great. I really kind of like the story and the whole world they're building there with the whole rules and these weird demons and how they're spreading. It's just a fascinating movie with a good bit of world building. And I'd love to see him do more just because I'm curious because it's got to be crazy.
John, maybe you looked it up. Have we ever had a foreign film at number one before?
Ooh, I could do the research while we're talking, but because I do have a sort of master list that has everything, but I'd have to go.
Just
That
curious.
would take some
Yeah,
time.
it's a pretty good movie. Number one is a little shocking to me, but like it is a movie that sticks with you because it has some very memorable moments for
Oh,
sure.
yeah. It
We're a
takes
bunch of
couple days.
weirdos. It needs to we need to be a little gutted, a little assaulted by our number one movie. Like has there ever been a year where it was like a feel good? It's always got to be like the one that most rattled our dark husk of a soul.
I did like the goat moment as discussed on the show.
I mean, the scene. There are several scenes in this movie that I will never forget for the rest of my life. With
You
the
mean-
fucking dog, like that
Oh,
dog.
the dog was pretty good. Yeah.
Or
That's
mom
like-
eating her child like it's a bag of popcorn.
that part.
But that
honestly,
part,
By that part, I'm like, this is so fucked. I can't even.
that was when I ascended out of my body. I was like, and we're done. That's
Dude,
enough life for today.
So Rachel, take this however you want. Like when you have a small child, like when you are the parent of a small child, and there's
Sometimes
a
you
huge-ass
feast
dog.
upon them. Yes.
No, well, there's a huge ass dog around. It is like very anxiety.
You're always thinking about it. Yeah.
Even
For
See,
sure.
I'm
when the
sick
dog
because I'm
is
like, I'm worried about the dog in that scene because I'm such a sicko. I was like, that dog's gonna die. I know that dog's gonna die. Fuck, that dog's
Oh
gonna
no, they're
die,
gonna have to
isn't
put
it?
him down.
Dude, that dog, as soon as it started sniffing around in those clothes, I was like,
Oh, yeah.
holy shit, something
Yeah.
really fucking.
That dog's
I
That's
was
gonna
like,
exactly
die.
what I thought.
I
Something
literally
terrible's
was-
gonna happen.
I was like, there's no way they're going to let this dog die. Yeah, no.
I would
that was
definitely say
really
that
good.
20-minute stretch of that movie is one of the best things I saw all year.
Oh yeah.
Eric, answer to your question. I was able to pull it up. Titan.
Oh yeah, that's
Oh.
correct.
Ah.
That is a correct
Was that number one film in, what was it, 2021? So 2 years ago. That's the only other foreign language film that was our number one.
John, can I get a
We're
couple
growing.
honorable mentions over here?
No, hold on. Eric, I'm not done. I got some other content here for
Fine.
us to tee up. And keep in mind, we got to talk about the patron picks, which some differences. Some
Well, I can do
differences.
that before patron
Ooh,
picks.
patrons, here
All
you
right,
go.
Well,
your
hold on.
moment.
So this is the moment that one of the things I enjoy doing. So that was it. That was our top 10. We hit them. Good job, everyone. Thank you for
Hey,
voting.
we did it.
What I always like to do at the end here is I want to call out the top pick from each of our lists that was not discussed already, let's say. Rachel, I'm going to let you go first. Your number 7 movie, Cocaine Bear.
I'm gonna just say I'm disappointed in all of you. I thought you were allies. I thought you were feminists.
I'm gonna
How
be
are you
honest
not-
with you. Man, maybe I forgot about Cocaine Bear because that was
Cocaine
pretty good.
Bear fucks. You guys are crazy. This movie is amazing. It should have been on all the lists. It is pure joy. It is. I felt like I had like if cocaine. If joy had been turned into pura, like that's what this movie was. I smiled the entire time. I came out of there chattery. It was such a delight from beginning to end. That ambulance scene where she goes a tumbling out the back. I mean, perfection.
Oh, yeah.
The guy getting trapped on the roof while the bear's down, just like chowing down on cocaine. Excellent. Like this is the When Animals Attack movie that I always wanted, and it's so much better than it has any right to be. R.I.P. Ray Liotta, you're an icon. We'll miss you. Cocaine Bear
It
2.
did have
please.
Ray Liotta in it. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, and
he gets fucked up by baby bears. It's awesome.
And what's her face from Felicity dressed up as an '80s mom? What's her name? Yeah.
Carrie Russell.
Yes,
Russell.
Carrie Russell. Yes. So
Like half
do
of the
better.
Americans, though, so. No,
Do better,
I
allies.
loved Cocaine Bear as well. It wasn't on my list.
I don't know
You
what I
make-
would have
you
booted,
make
but
a
it could,
compelling
I
case,
could have
though.
I could have picked something for sure.
It was on my list for a good bit. It had a good run.
Casey, I'm going to let you go next.
Uh oh.
Defend yourself, bro. Renfield is the movie. Number 4.
Casey.
Rachel did also have Renfield on her list. So.
Renfield.
I thought Renfield was
because
a
I
delight.
experience and love joy sometimes.
Yeah, well, Cocaine Bear, obviously. So
Hey, I thought Renfield was a delight. It's a Nick Cage movie playing Dracula, and he was hamming it up like a mofo. I bought in, I loved it, and I thought it was a joy. And F you all, because I am proud for my
you all.
restraint. I showed restraint by not putting this number 1.
Number 1, Casey.
I remember the conversation we had after it. Like you and I like had a solidarity moment where we were like, screw them, that movie was awesome.
It was a blast, and it was fun. It's a good horror comedy too. So, but
It's
it all
delightful.
hinges on that scene where Nick Cage, after he first healed back up and was in Nicholas Holt's apartment,
Yes.
and argued with him when he found he was reading his How to Fight Back Against Your Boss books. That was A+.
Yes. The movie is a delight. It's so much better than it had any business being. It knew exactly what it was. It could have easily have made the mistake of going PG-13, but it went hard R,
No,
super gory
that-
and silly and fun.
Yeah. And
I agree with
Aquafina
that.
as a badass karate fighting cop.
Dude, she was so bad in that movie. Oh my god.
I mean,
I can't.
Aquafina's just is Aquafina. Like, you either like it or you
Yeah.
don't, because she
Yeah.
never is anyone else.
Yeah.
I'm generally
that's
fine
true.
with her, but this was not
This is not the one.
not the
I
best
could-
showcase for her
I can
talents.
see
I don't
where
think.
people would have problems buying her as a cop.
Yeah.
Jumping on these people. But at the same time,
She's
watching
not-
her
she's
jump on
tiny.
the back of
She's a
those
tiny
dudes
lady.
and fighting and flying through the air, I thought was hilarious.
I love that it's like a direct sequel from the 1930s. Like, that was the way
Yes.
they went with it. All the stuff where they like put him in all of the old footage was just, I don't know, it was just fun. It
Yeah,
was
it was a
stupid,
blast.
and I liked it. Yeah.
I hate fun.
Eric,
I'm just kidding.
Hot take, I like
you may now defend yourself on A Haunting in Venice. You're
Oh,
number
I'm
5
so
film.
glad. I'm so glad I could talk about Haunting in Venice.
Ah,
2023 was the year, John, that the phrase cozy horror came into the lexicon, okay? And there was nothing cozier in 2023 than A Haunting in Venice. You throw this movie on in February with some hot cocoa and a blanket, and you are going to enjoy yourself, okay? It's Kenneth Branagh with his silly little mustache doing this like modern Poirot thing. Tina Fey literally acting like an SNL character, amazing. Just the whole Jamie Dornan weirdly kind of like stealing the show.
yeah.
It's just fun and like a little cozy mystery, and they found a way to make it horror-y, and it's like they're in Venice and it's raining the whole time. It is a delight, that movie. I had a number
agree,
5.
Just to be clear, I had never seen any of the. I mean, we talked about it on the show. Go back and check out the episode if you're interested. But I had never seen any of these movies. I had a lot of fun with this. Like, this was not a situation where I was like, "Fuck this movie." I was just like, not a top 10. For
It
me,
just made
but
it made me happy
Very
this
good.
year.
It was my number one until we saw Where Evil Lurks, and that was the first one to bump it down.
Your
to
number one?
Godzilla.
Wow.
Yeah, I really loved it.
Yeah, I had it higher up my list, and then came in hot at the end of the year with Poor Things and Godzilla bumping everything down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think, I will say, just as off topic, but I do think once I see Poor Things, it's going to adjust my list for this year.
Oh yeah,
I had
wouldn't
just had
surprise me.
that feeling.
Do you think it'll bump Renfield down, Casey?
How dare
Probably.
you? How dare you?
Only by one, though.
Nicolas Cage is an American treasure. How
Yes,
dare
he
you?
is.
I like Nicolas Cage, but I can't co-sign everything he does. I'm not
Nicolas
that
Cage
person.
stole the American treasure.
That's actually fair.
I can co-sign
did.
it for his life, but like not for my entertainment.
Guys, so here's mine, and I'll just be honest. I was kind of blown away. This was not higher on more people's lists. The movie was No One Will Save You. I had it at my number 5. It
That was a last
awesome.
minute bump for me. That's the Alien one.
Yes.
The ending lost me.
Ending. It's the
Here's the
ending.
thing. It's like a roller coaster ride of a horror film.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's
Slash-
really a
it's-
good time. You just got to be ready for that ending. I feel like.
It's like an action sci-fi movie. I mean, well, when you say the ending, you mean how fucking depressing it was?
I think the whole thing that they like tried to tie a bow on the end of that story just falls apart for me. I don't think it didn't make any sense when I watched it. You guys like put a little bit of shape to it for me when we reviewed it, but I just don't. And then my point about it was that like they made a kick-ass alien movie. Like the rest of this just feels superfluous to the whole thing that they're already nailing the thing and
Yeah.
didn't need it. It's like putting a hat on a hat.
Yeah, they are trying to put more. It's funny. It's like the rare like.
But you're not
Potentially
wrong. A
more
lot of it
char-
is extremely entertaining.
Yeah, it's like the rare more characterization than you need at a certain level. Or
That's what
you
I'm
know,
saying.
But,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I loved it. I was surprised. I was sort of expecting that to be on a fair number of people's lists, and here we are. Eric, are there any other movies we haven't discussed that you feel
Yes, John.
strongly compelled?
There
Because I
are.
worry again that you don't often get a platform.
I appreciate that. No, just one really that I think is worth talking about because so people may not know if they're not kind of like in our orbit here. that we recorded an episode last week on Satanic Hispanics. That
True.
when I say recorded, what I mean is we didn't record it because I didn't hit the button. So that is now
It's the
lost
best
to
episode we've never
history.
recorded.
It was really good. I'm
It
not
was a
gonna
It was
lie.
a hang. It was just a hang.
It was
that's
good.
all.
But
Eric, we should also say Eric went in on a couple movies during this that were not Satanic Hispanics.
It's
We might
squeaked
get
onto
into
my
it later.
list at number 9. It's great. It really surprised me. I was not expecting to like it. It's really good, and I just wanted to shout that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
was a great one.
agree. And that it was on some lists. I mean, that was. I did look. There were more movies that got 2 votes this year. There was it was 8 more movies that got 2 votes this year than last year. Like there was the list of things that were getting some love was pretty long. So yeah, I also like that one as well.
I just
All
want to shout it out since we didn't even get to talk about it last week.
Yeah.
So
To
now,
the world.
let's talk about the patrons. You remember them?
Ugh, what a
Oh,
bad.
yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Are you familiar with the patrons?
We appreciate all of our patrons.
We
and
do,
I'm
we
curious
do.
to see what they liked this year.
All of them except for that one. You know who you are.
So we put out the call to the patrons. There was a patron vote. We had almost 50 responses. We had 48 responses this year.
Wow.
Which was a lot
awesome.
for a.
That's awesome.
Look, it takes some doing because I do not make the filling out of the form real easy. So it is what it is. But I run basically the same process, but there's just a lot more votes. And what's interesting is you get some different perspectives. 57 total movies received a vote from the patrons. So there were 35 by the staff, the 12 staff voters, 57 from the patrons. There was a bunch of movies that popped that, like, frankly, didn't even hit our radar, or didn't receive love. And like, I can hit a couple of them if it's helpful. 19 different movies were number ones, so there were 19 different number one movies.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was surprised. I am going to count these down from. Well, you know what? I can do it. I can do it 10-1. Does that work for everyone? Should I start with number 10 and we'll work down?
Sure.
We don't need to. We've commented on a lot of these. Maybe we can stop and talk about some of them. And then I have a couple other, just a couple. I have a couple stats at the end. So, number 10 from the patrons, Totally Killer.
You know who had
one.
Totally Killer on their list, John?
I do.
Eric.
Yeah.
I did
And
me.
Casey. Yeah. Yeah.
It was purely for the smoking jokes. I just loved the repeated jokes about how everybody was smoking and she couldn't believe it because that's what the world was like, John.
The thing I was going to say here with the patrons, there was actually a really interesting, obvious cutoff at number 10, and it wasn't the same. Like it was different than our vote, where it was like there was an obvious cutoff at 5. Here it was like the top 10. They're all in striking distance generally of each other. Like it's a pretty even ramp up into the top 10. So Totally Killer at number 9. Eric, this is where things are going to get fun. Or sorry, that was number 10. Here's things get fun at number 9 rather. Scream 6, number 9. Number 9 patron
Okay.
film.
Yeah, it's a decent time. I enjoyed it.
That is not the tone you were taking earlier. So
Yeah.
No.
I'm
After
just
I would
gonna-
listen, you really shook me in the beginning of the list there, John. I was just trying to get my bearings, but yeah, no, I don't. Number 9 is perfectly reasonable for Scream 6. I feel.
Okay. Well, this
It
is
had
the
its-
part of
it
the
had its
list.
Pros.
Oh, sorry, Rachel. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, yeah, I was agreeing. It had its pros. Like it was not a perfect movie, but it had. I'm kind of bummed we're not gonna get any resolution around it because we've been building and building and building.
I know.
And
Yeah.
We'll never find out the what happens in that one thread about Billy Loomis's daughter that they keep forgetting about until the last 5 minutes of the movie, and then it comes back.
You
we'll
know
never
what
figure
they're-
out if they can, get that CGI together. 'Cause
Somehow
it
looking
was-
worse than the last movie.
I was going to say the other thing it does benefit it gives us is they really don't have anything left but to bring Stu back.
He's busy making the Freddy movies.
All right. Number 8, and this is the part of the list I call the Eric pandering part of the list because
Ooh,
Beau is Afraid
okay.
is the number 8 patron film
All right,
of 2023.
bringing me
Beau's
around. I
Afraid.
like it.
Yeah. So we had Beau is Afraid at number 8.
You might say it's a masterwork, John.
Number 7. At least some of the patrons agreed with you, Eric. The ones that, were trying to make you feel good, I guess.
I feel
don't know.
bad. I feel like if I had gotten it in, it would have definitely been on my list based on what I saw of it. Like
And that,
already,
then
I was
that
like,
might have made the difference, Rachel.
I know
Maybe
it probably would have.
or
Probably
maybe
would have been like 10 or 9 or 8. I don't know. I feel like it's gonna be high on my final list. It's upsetting.
Well, number 7 for the patrons was another Eric favorite, or film that Eric wanted to defend earlier, which was Megan.
Yeah, Megan's great.
There you go.
It's
Number
the
7.
robot, John. She kills people. That's the perfect setup. No
She
notes.
dances fun too.
She
I like the
dances
dancing.
funny. It's great.
The dancing was good. Number 6, Thanksgiving, which very close. I think we had it at number. What did we have? We had Thanksgiving number 5, I believe. No, sorry, we had Thanksgiving number 7. Godzilla Minus One at number 5. So that is the same as the Bloody Good Horror voters. Number 4, Infinity Pool. Here we are, number 3. This was a substantial change from our ranking. Evil Dead Rise, number 3.
3.
go.
Wow. There's a contingent out there that loved the Evil Dead Rise. I do understand
it's
that.
The
Pretty
patrons,
gruesome.
and we salute them, and they're voting. Number 1 and number 2 were actually not the same. Excuse me. Number 2, When Evil Lurks. Patrons, they saw it, they enjoyed, and number 1, Talk to Me. Wow.
Number 1. Wow.
I celebrate you, patrons. It's a delightful.
That's actually kind of awesome because I felt like I feel validated by that because I feel like I was excited about it and it came out and then everybody was like, "Meh, it's not that good." So to hear that the patrons, they like Bloody Good Horror and they like Talk to Me, people of taste, sophistication.
There you go. There you go. I mean, look, I've always debated because the more voters you have, I think it does favor movies that more people get to see. So things like Poor Things did not necessarily make the patron. So let's just quickly talk. Biggest swings. Scream 6 received no staff votes, but was 9th on the patron vote. And then the opposite, Where the Devil Roams, received no patron votes, or was very, very low. I think it was the number 46 film on the patron vote, but was obviously pretty high on our vote. I do think the patron vote, because there's more voters, it favors things that get broader distribution or just more people see and therefore more people are ranking and voting on. But I also those I don't know, they're best felt the lists are close enough that you're yeah, there's some really good movies that came out this year and here they are. So it's good times. I did just want to mention, because I thought you all would appreciate, we have 2 glorious patrons, and I salute them, who had Saw 10 as their first place film. So
Wow.
good news, there is a Saw 11, and it's coming soon. So there you go. Eric, you're on mute, and
I said, thank God I want more octogenarian Tobin Bell.
Oh, wow.
Good for him.
The things he can do with the AI nowadays, this generative AI.
Just put a
we're gonna have
backwards hat
Tobin
on him.
Bell,
That's fine.
You know.
I'm a little bummed, John. We didn't get to talk about the Pope's Exorcist at all tonight.
I know. Where was that? The Pope's
And
Exorcist.
I have a
love.
confession
Guys.
too, in which I have a confession which calls all of my picks into question, which is that for a hot moment, I was like, do I want to put The Blackening on this list?
So the Blackening, okay, we can talk. I mean, there's a bunch of.
It's memorable.
movies. Yeah,
It's a memorable movie.
I mean, Urkel
And
went
Urkel
berserk.
went berserk. Thank you. Yes.
That's
That
all I
was
can think about whenever
that
I
was
hear
my
that
favorite
movie.
joke of the year.
That was
There
the joke
was-
of the year.
There was
Yeah.
a bunch, there's a bunch of movies we have not touched on. I'll just run through a couple that were both patron voted and showed up on some of it. So I will just raise my hand as the only person of the staff voters who had Pope's Exorcist on their list. It was my number 10 film. And you know what? I looked several times at taking it off and putting something else on. And I was like, you know what? I fucking love the Pope's Exorcist. And I'm leaving it on. Is it great? No. But
Honestly,
agree.
that's my energy. Like that's how I put movies on the list, like almost
So that was on
defiantly.
So Blackening definitely hit a bunch of lists. Voyage of the Demeter hit a bunch of lists.
Yeah, I had it pretty high up mine.
I mentioned that in the patron voting, there was like a very clear cutoff at number 10. Their number 11 film was Rebirth, which was pretty high on our list, obviously. They had No One Will Save You at 13. They had Cocaine Bear at 14. You know, like these movies were up there. Suitable Flesh got a bunch of votes. Blackening, I mentioned. Cobweb got a bunch of votes.
There's a lot of chatter about Suitable Flesh in the chat. We didn't do that one, right?
We didn't, yeah.
I watched it, though. It's a good movie. It just didn't make my top 10 for me.
Here's the thing. Casey, his heart is more open than mine. Okay. So like Casey likes things generally more than I do, which is fine. But I'm just trying to explain why we didn't do it. So when Casey comes back and he's like, yeah, I watched it. It was fine. I'm like, I can't. We're not going to do it.
I almost feel like you might like it,
that's
Eric.
worked for us for a long time.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's like, in the same way that you had love for Blood and Honey, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
I did like Blood and Honey.
You like sort of a trashy throwback, and this is very much a trashy throwback.
Okay,
but it's like
you got my attention.
Oh,
I do like trash.
It's a very horny movie.
It's horny trash. Okay, maybe I'm in.
Yeah,
like it
upsettingly made me kind of hot for the kid from the babysitter, and I don't feel good about that about myself. But you know what?
Hey,
he could get it. He's 18.
boy.
Mondo says it's like horny Reanimator.
Exactly.
Say
well,
wait, wasn't
Reanimator's horny Reanimator? Let's not set Eric up for failure with this, but
it's
like
still Barbara Crampton either way. So
Joe says it belongs on Showtime after midnight.
It does.
Yeah.
Oh,
and that is a compliment.
Okay.
Love it.
The other movie we didn't mention, I wanted to hit where did it go? Hell House LLC Origins Carmichael Manor got some love from the patrons. Did any of you guys see it?
I watched it. I
can't remember.
The first one's awesome. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I think a lot of people like this. The two other sequels were so bad. I think that it might have been a case of like this one wasn't as bad. But I haven't seen it, so
it's better than like that third.
It's purely conjecture.
I think it's definitely better than the second and third one, but it just didn't do a whole lot for me.
All right, just to run down a couple other we haven't mentioned, because I know there's going to be some questions, and so we'll hit some of these other movies. Angry Black Girl and Her Monster.
That's actually excellent.
It got some votes. It was on a handful of lists for the staff. It was on a bunch of lists for the patrons. Horror in the High Desert 2, Minerva, VHS 85.
I know how much you love Minerva.
I do. The Minerva thing it blows my mind. There was a bunch of staff of patron votes for influencer popped, and I think that was on one of the zombie girls.
Matilda's.
It was
Matilda's.
Yeah, it was pretty high on her list. Yeah,
it's good. So, it's surprisingly good.
Yeah, it's on one of the streaming. So is it on Netflix?
Shutter.
Shutter. Oh, it's like when I log in, they're like, "Have you considered influencer?" I was like, no.
You should consider it. It's a pretty good time.
Maybe I will. So yeah, that's the list, Eric.
Love it, John. Wow, how do you feel?
Are we influencers now?
How do you feel, John?
I feel
spent.
I'm tired. I wish I had a little more whiskey, and I considered texting my wife to be like, "Hey, could you bring that whiskey up?" But then I feel like she'd be
do
like,
it.
No,
do it.
We still have more chatting to do. Get that.
Give me her number. I'll text your wife to.
No,
bring
you know what?
Whiskey.
I'll
I think
walk
she'd
down and get
me.
some. You guys chat amongst yourselves.
Yeah. We'll do. Well, let's go to break, and then we'll do a little bit of fan mail, and then we'll call it a night.
There we go.
All right, go ahead, John. Go get your drinky. Okay. All right, guys, let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
Send feedback to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or on Twitter using hashtag AskBGH. Join Patreon to get back episodes and much more. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror.
And we're back. Oh, I see John coming. John went to get a drink, and Rachel went to pee. It's you and me, Casey.
Yay!
Oh, there he is. Hey, John. Can you hear me, Schnars?
I can.
Love it.
Can you hear me?
Oh my gosh. info@bloodygoodhorror.com is the email address. No email this week. We did have a Slack question, John. What was the best new to you horror movie that you saw this year that was not from 2023? Did you see anything, John, that wasn't from this year? I got an answer for this, and it's the first Horror in the High Desert.
Oh yeah, you've ranted about
Scared
that.
the bejesus out of me.
Part of me is
My
like,
answer, too.
should I pull up my letterbox and like see if I checked it? There's nothing that pops off the top of my head. I was going on and on like a couple weeks ago when I watched The Thing again for the first time in probably 5 or 6 years, and it's just so fucking good. It's crazy. I don't know, like, what's wrong with people that we can't make movies like that anymore? Like, what are we doing here? So,
I don't know if it counts as a horror movie, but it's pretty horrifying, which is Brazil. Which I actually think if we're going to count Beau is Afraid, Brazil would be the...
no. It's part of the Big Ten. It's part of the Big Ten of horror for sure.
Yeah. And like as I was watching those opening scenes of Beau when he's like going through the town and everybody's like stabbing and there's graffiti, like that is very Terry Gilliam, and I've always like it has kind of those, the DNA is there. So if you like Beau, you might like.
I feel like Terry Gilliam is like one of the most celebrated filmmakers of all time, rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
Who's never really been commercially successful. Like all those movies are like high budget.
Mm-hmm.
Not amazing like box office, but then like they're cult classics. Like they're all cult classics.
Didn't he do he did Baron Munchausen?
Mm-hmm.
And did he do Pippi Longstocking too?
He did Time Bandits.
Time Bandits. Yeah, I don't know about Pippi. I don't think Pippi.
Yeah,
I don't think he
Pippi.
did Pippi Longs.
They're similar kind of vibes though, aren't they?
Yeah.
Maybe not.
I mean, that's also just like children's programming in the 80s.
I just watched speaking of 80s
Hellscape.
fantasy, I just watched Labyrinth again today. God
I feel
damn.
like
Talk
we're
about a
watching
sexual
Labyrinth.
awakening.
Yeah.
David Bowie and the Codpiece. My God.
Yeah.
In a children's movie, mind you, he was wearing those pants.
I wasn't a child no longer.
They don't look very comfortable. Like
Sorry.
if you can see it like that, that's not how pants are supposed to fit.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That movie's incredible.
It really is. All right. Whitney also asked something, but I'm waiting for her to clarify for me. So,
We're clarifying the questions now.
or I'll just
Okay.
clarify myself, John. How about this? What character from your top 10 list did you relate to the most?
I mean, we know what Eric's answer
I was like,
is.
well, I wonder what but Eric's answer's going to be. What if I said Beau's mom? How would you feel about that?
Beau's mom. Okay.
What if I said Mark Ruffalo in Poor Things?
Yeah, I kind of get him. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. Or what's his name? Skarsgård in Infinity Pool.
Yeah. Scar-
Equally bad answer.
I love that.
Honestly, to some extent, I gotta say Poirot.
Yeah.
I'm a little
Hey.
neurotic when I want to be.
You also have great facial hair, so like, there you
There you
go.
go.
I need to
How
get
about the
Like
little
Killer Rose.
how about the little kid in Haunting in Venice who's forced to be an adult and take care of his
Yeah, the adultification is
Yeah.
ringing true.
That's it.
it. Valeria from Sarah. My maternal ambivalence is also quite high. I might put a kid in a freezer. Don't give them to me.
That's it from Slack. Casey, you don't have to read all the threads, but why don't we just pick your top ones and then we'll do a couple IGs and call it a night.
Certainly. First up, we have one from Book of Dad here on Threads. What was the most memorable kill from 2023 from a movie, not reality?
Kill. That's a good
That
one.
ship's mess from Thanksgiving has really
coming
stuck
through
with me.
through the truck.
That's
There
Yeah.
really
were a
stuck
bunch
with
of good kills in Thanksgiving.
I mean,
yeah.
Thanksgiving was really high.
Man, there's some good kills in Megan too.
Yeah.
When that kid falls down the hill and then the car runs him over.
Oh, that scene in VHS 85 where they're all on the boat and there's that great tension where they're water skiing and then they just start getting picked off one by one.
The jaw
Someone gets like
shot.
shot, like yeah.
That was
Yeah,
pretty good.
it's pretty gruesome. I was gonna say when he puts that lady in the oven in Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
Fuck. Yeah.
that's
I
pretty
think
Oh,
Margot
okay.
Martindale going out of the back of the ambulance and then just skidding face first on the ground.
That
Yes.
was a good one too.
That one. For
I'll
me.
also put up Scream 6 when they're climbing across between the two buildings across the ladder and I think one of them falls or something, but it's like
Mhm.
they shoot it.
Sounds very memorable. Yes.
Same team.
sorry.
Hold on,
Yes, and.
Rick.
Yes, and.
I was going to yes and Rachel. My kill from Cocaine Bear is when they're in the cabin and they're trying to hold the door closed.
Yeah,
And
yes.
the bear just goes.
Like
Yeah,
every
he's just
one, every
jumping
kill
on the
on
door.
It's
and
so
Cocaine
good.
Bear is awesome.
Yeah.
Cocaine Bear is. God.
I'm thinking maybe it should have
been.
been on my list, you guys. I made a mistake.
I kind of.
You know what? Let's do it again next week. We'll do it again.
Yeah.
Well, do we record this one? Because if not, we can.
You know what's
definitely do
funny
it
too
next
is I
week.
was just thinking about it because at Christmas, my mom, I hear her in the other room being like, "Do you know what movie your dad made me watch? Cocaine Bear." I was like, "Hell yeah, Dad! Nice." He seemed to love it.
It's great.
It is good.
It's
The Bears win in the end. It's like an animal.
My mom was like, "It was based on a true story." I'm like, "Kind of, Mom." Like,
the true story is very sad. Let's not go down that.
in the original
Google.
story, the bear just took cocaine and died, not
Yeah.
like turned into a slasher.
And also like turned into like they stuffed it and you can like go and they put hats on it. It's not a
Wait,
it's
really?
not a it's not a dignified end for the bear.
It became an attraction. I didn't know that.
Yes.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And in this she's a single mom. She's just doing her best. Like, she's a hero.
Yeah.
She kills the drug dealer guy. She's a hero. She's a queen. Feminism. Down with the patriarchy. Up with the bureaucracy.
Finally, a feminist film.
Finally, right? Go Elizabeth Banks.
Alrighty, this will be the last one from Threads.
'Kay.
Coming from right now, that's RHYTE now. Which is better, horror movies from the 2000s or the 1990s?
2000s. It's not even close.
Oh, yeah. By the end of the 2000s, like it's
Yeah.
not the beginning so much, but it's like by the end of the 2000s. I mean, The Descent.
Yeah.
The Descent is better than maybe any movie that
The
came out
first
in
the
the-
first 2 or 3 years of the 2000s were very wonky, but
Yes,
by the
but I
time
will.
you get into the mid to late, it's very
But
strong.
I mean,
I will also say though that 90s horror rightfully is getting reconsidered a lot lately, and like
yes.
especially, I mean, like it gave us Candyman, and like
Sure.
it gave us some I mean, In the Mouth
The
of
high
Madness.
points are
Yeah.
high.
The high points are high, but
yeah.
the low points are very low. I think
And
Well,
the
that's
the 90s
2000s
had their-
gave us like torture porn and like
Yeah.
there was, you know what I mean? Like the legacy of the 2000s is
yeah.
a
I think
little
that's also
shaky.
a fair argument.
The 90s had like a lot of 90s horror had its own unique flavor kind of going that was throughout. Like Idle Hands. That movie was kind of
Idle Hand- dude.
a little bit of high school movie, and it's just kind of punk rock and fun.
The two best vampire movies ever made came out in the 90s, which are Bram Stoker's Dracula and Interview with the Vampire.
All right.
Don't
Hold
make that
on.
face.
Let the right one in. I'm going to let the right
Yeah.
one in over both of those movies.
You can be wrong. That's fine.
All right.
He's right.
Near dark. Period.
Near Dark, but that's not a 90s movie. Come on.
No,
That's all right.
we were talking about best vampire movies, not.
All right,
we're
I didn't mean to
opening
start.
the
I didn't mean to start a
aperture-
fight, John.
All right. Well, in any event, I would. You all make a compelling case, but I would want to sit down and look at like top 10 versus top 10.
Yeah,
think I'm
we'd
gonna
have
go-
to we'd have to really compare the numbers here.
And I'm assuming we're just talking 2010s, not all the way. Because it's not fair.
No, I
to
think
say
when they
I'm
say
thinking
2000s,
oddies, like oh
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
2000s,
sorry,
you're
that's what I
talking
meant.
aughts.
Yeah, up through 2010. Yeah. All right, it might be more of a competition than I made it out to be. I'm sorry. I was so dismissive off the jump.
I'm now gonna post this one comment into the video who agreed with me.
In the Mouth of Madness is that's like one of my all-time faves.
Incredible, yeah.
It's so good. I know. Oh fuck. All right.
That whole Apocalypse trilogy is.
Freaked. You ever seen a little movie called Freaked, John? That's pretty
Well,
good.
I haven't seen it. You all watched it for the show, and I wasn't on that week. And
you need to go back and watch that one.
I know that was like '92. I want to say, if I remember, I was looking at it. But
all right, is that it for threads?
Also, the Lost Boys disrespect is bumming me out, man.
All right,
Lost Boys was the '80s.
I know, but you said best vampire movies.
I'm
stuck on that. All right.
I like the Lost Boys, but it's no Bram Stoker's Dracula. There's nothing better than Bram Stoker.
Rachel clearly has a type of vampire movie she likes. Near Dark, Lost Boys. Like, come on.
Maybe I do. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Real quick, because I'm tired.
All right, can you put up Mondo's comment? Because
okay, what did he say?
Near Dark is amazing.
This one? You mean this one?
The next one.
Oh, this one. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
there we go. Look at this.
All right,
the wisdom of one Mondo.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's bang through these quick. How do you rate 2023 in horror?
I felt it was a little weaker than past years.
It feels a little weak to me, honestly.
So we've talked about it a lot.
But I also think it was just a lot of stuff that I don't necessarily like.
I think we talked about it last week on the fake show that we didn't actually record. But
the rehearsal, yeah.
The rehearsal show. It was a rehearsal for this show.
Yeah.
2023 for me, the genre feels a little confused right now. Like there's not a dominant
subgenre.
Meta, subgenre, if you want to call it. Like there's not, and so what you have is you've got like my top two films are like arguably not straight horror movies, you know, with Godzilla and Poor Things, Beau is Afraid. Like these are not like there are like weird ass movies that are great and like we celebrate them, but when you then you have the like Thanksgivings, I don't know, like you've got people doing interesting shit, but it
definitely feels
like
all over the place, like this last year, yeah.
Well,
which is okay. I mean, it's okay to get a wide variety, but
we had an Insidious movie. Like clearly, we are winding down the end of the
God,
Conjuring
that Insidious movie,
and like
that's
all
a good
that
point,
shit.
Yeah.
You know. So sorry, Rachel.
That Insidious movie sucked pretty hard.
Yeah, I think the tent poles let us down a lot, and like you had to kind of dig to find the horror this year, and because it was like. And that prevented it from being like, to John's point, like there being kind of like a dominant strain that was like commercially successful this year or like, and then iterated on.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, I think a lot of that had to do with the strike as well, right? You know, like a lot of stuff got pulled and pushed because you can't do any marketing around it. But I don't know when that happens, though, it creates a vacuum that allows interesting films to surface to the top. And the ones that I really responded to were all the weirdos, like indie films, like Where the Devil Roams, things like that I think would not have, if Scream had been good, if all of the movies got released, you know, maybe would not have made the list. So,
well, the crazy thing is horror still performs, right? So like, Scream did amazing, right? Like Talk to Me did really well. Five Nights at Freddy's did incredible. Thanksgiving was like you know, like
Five Nights at Freddy's, which is just like a trash movie. Like it's not the good kind of trash. Like it's not good.
I'm delighted by how many women did well in horror this year, though. Like, this was the year that, like, they didn't just make some of the best movies, but they actually saw it at the box office with something like Five Nights at Freddy's. Like, was it a great movie? No. But, like, Emma Tammy is now going to have all kinds of opportunities she wouldn't have had before.
Yeah, I agree
Cocaine
with that.
Bear did really great at the box office. And, like, Megan, written by a woman who now is getting a bunch of other opportunities. So, like, this was a great year for women in horror. I will say that. Whatever you think of the overall quality, women crushed this year, and that was awesome to see.
Well, I definitely think it feels, to your point, like this year we've seen a whole lot more women-directed movies, and they've been great. So, I mean, it's nice to see that balance start to shift, and they're starting to give more people those opportunities too, and that kind of stems with the strike and stuff like that. But we're starting to see some of these more lesser known filmmakers, and a lot of them happen to be female. That, lucky for us, and they're starting to get that boost, which is nice to see this year.
Mm-hmm. All right, we had two more quick questions. Favorite performance? It's honestly for me, it's a tie probably between Emma Stone and what's her face in Infinity Pool. I forgot her name.
Mia
Someone
Goth.
tell me her name. Mia Goth. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Cage's Dracula, obviously.
With Nick Cage's Dracula.
Correct.
Who was the girl who played the robot in Megan? Yeah.
I had Nick Cage's
She was
Dracula in
good, though.
Renfield and Mia Goth in Infinity Pool for my picks. He was amazing. He understood the assignment. He was perfectly cast.
Listen, you guys you're gonna see Poor Things, and you're gonna be like, oh,
Dude,
yeah,
Ruffalo's
it's a real
really
fucking
up.
movie.
Ruffalo's
I haven't
really up
seen
there
it
for me
yet.
too. He's so funny.
Do
I'm
you
sure
guys
I would
remember
agree.
Alexander Skarsgård's stick work in Infinity Pool? Strong. So
Yeah.
you know.
Stick work.
I don't remember
That was,
him
that was
being
mostly a
like doing
joke. That was mostly a joke. But
all right.
he was there. He was involved.
Last question.
He was
Actually,
great.
I said I needed help for this, and then I remembered what the clear
Oh,
runaway
God.
answer is.
I was going to tee you up. But...
Least favorite horror film of 2023.
So can I
And
just
why
Eric,
is
can I
it
say,
Skinamarink?
Hold on, Eric. I just want to interject because
That was in theaters. Lest I need to remind you.
last week when we recorded a show that disappeared into the ether, Eric went on a heater, what I would call a heater. About
Oh, I
a
went
certain
in on
film.
Skinamarink last
You
week,
did.
and no one will
You
ever
did.
hear it. I went in.
And we sort of said to him, like, hey, man, like, some people like this movie, like, chill out. And he was like, I don't care. I want them to know.
I did use the phrase, I want them to know how wrong they are.
Yeah. I agree with you, just to be
Because
clear. But,
because as
you
bad
know.
as the movie was, the thing that just made me continually angry throughout the year was seeing people. Thank God I don't even use Twitter anymore, John, because now I don't have to listen to these Skinamarink people. There are 15-minute shots
Have any of them moved to Threads, or most of them?
of
are
the
still on
corner of a
Twitter?
room in that movie
Yeah.
with static playing in the background.
Yeah.
I'll go with mine. It's not strictly a horror movie. It's one of those gray areas, but I think we did cover it on the show. I'm not 100% because it's that forgettable, but 65.
No, we didn't cover it, but it's terrible.
yeah.
I also.
I
watched
think
it.
was god-awful.
I watched part of 65. Yeah, it's not very
Or we
good.
were going to
It's
cover it
so
and
bad.
changed our minds or something.
I watched it when it was on. It came on Max like 30 days after it was in the theater, and I was pretty pumped for it, and it was so fucking bad.
And such a
the
weird
script
choice
is just
for
terrible.
Adam Driver too, like
Yeah.
who could
Well,
do kind of
yeah.
anything he wants.
They tell us in block text at the beginning of the movie exactly what happened in the 65 million years in the past, where if you would have not told us and left it be a mystery, it would have helped.
Well, it just
It's
none of
just
it makes
it's a
sense.
bizarre movie.
The other movie that went in on last week that I want Rachel to just like take the floor for a second was a little film called The Outwaters, which did receive some popular support from both the
Well,
patrons
I would
and
like
staff.
them to know they're wrong. Like it is if you took Skinamarink and took it outside and lit it only with a flashlight. Like it is. You want long shots of a wall? Imagine if the amount of wall you got to see was this much. And then someone was just like whimpering, and then maybe there was a tentacle, and then back to just this. With
So,
a flashlight for 15 minutes.
and
It
this
is
was an argument.
infuriating.
This was an argument that you and I had last week, Rachel, where because I've seen both of these films.
Put them up.
I agree with everything you're saying about Outwaters. It's still better than Skinamarink, in my opinion, because here's the thing: it has tentacles.
Okay,
So
I
you need to-
remember the
You need to
specific
get on my
moment.
level, John, because this is the movie you can weaponize to take Eric down around found footage films. Because this is what a real found footage film would
Oh
look
no,
like. Trash.
It's the worst. No.
So like
and
get
it's
over
Rachel,
here.
Catching
Hold
strays
on.
over here.
It
What did I do?
No,
Rachel, it
you,
also
you know what you
fails-
did.
It fails like all of the like, why is this guy still filming nonsense? Like he would have stopped filming 10 minutes into this movie. It would be like, oh yeah, I'm done
John,
now. Like,
we
I
should
gotta
check
fuck outta
because
here.
I think she's right. Julie's saying we did do 65, and now
Yeah,
I'm
we
thinking
did.
we
No,
did.
you got 100% did. I remember. Yeah.
It was
you
episode
Oh.
718 with Joe Ferry.
Oh, so was I not on it? Because
You must
No,
not
you
have
were
been.
there.
Oh, that's funny.
It was me, you, and Eric, and Joe Ferry.
I can remember
Stop
the
it.
exact moment that Skinamarink made me angrier than I've maybe ever been in a movie. And it's like 30 minutes in when he slinks into the parents' bedroom, right? And they're on the bed. And for like a second, it's creepy. And you're like, oh, this is it. Like, this is where it turns into a movie. And then 10 minutes later, the camera's still just moving around. And then he leaves. And nothing happens. And I remember, I was
no.
crawling up the walls. I was so upset. during this movie.
it's unwatchable. I'm a little shook right now that we covered 65 on the show because
Yeah,
that is correct. We did, and
it's that bad.
holy shit!
All right. Well, who would have thought we'd end the year talking about 65, starring Adam Driver? But here we are.
Ooh, I mean, I'm happy to talk about Adam Driver whenever y'all want to. Do you
Well,
want to get something
I
positive?
I love Adam Driver.
You ever
talk
watched
about, like anticipated movies?
You ever watched Last Week
Oh, we
Tonight,
can do that,
Rachel,
we can do it.
last week tonight?
with John Oliver?
Mm-hmm.
He's got a great running bit about ways he describes Adam Driver as like big hunk of a man. It's pretty funny. John, why don't you give us a couple of things we're looking forward to? Then let's wrap this thing up.
Well, I kind of want to hear Rachel's list because I'm sure she's like more ahead of the shit. But so coming up, we got Night Swim, which is James Wan. I have seen now the longer trailer because the first trailer was like just kids swimming in a pool, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" The longer trailer, which I like kind of caught out of the corner of my eye, was on a football game, and I was like, "They're showing too much here, and I need to like stop watching this." But it's still James Wan, so I'm fucking in. I don't need to know anything else.
Correct.
So pretty excited for that. The one I'm pretty excited about, and then I'm just gonna let Rachel run on some other shit. This movie, ISS, International Space Station, I don't even know if it's a horror movie. I believe the premise is that there's a war that breaks out on Earth, and then there's like Americans and Russians in the space station, and they're like fighting each other for like keys to like a nuclear missile or something. And I'm sort of here for it. Like,
John,
that's gonna be tense.
It's gonna be
big question of the year: are we going to do A24 Civil War?
Absolutely, 100% no questions asked, dude.
Hell yeah! Okay, I'm in.
Yeah. All right. So Rachel, what else? I mean, like we have some other stuff we can run through, but you've got your finger on the pulse. What is the pulse?
Well, I tried to actually kept my list kind of short after the dressing down I received on multiple episodes about being too much of a completist.
No. Come on. No, but like theatrical. Lean into the theatrical a little bit. All right. Like,
but like as I said, the best stuff is not necessarily theatrical. But all right.
I know, but big releases, let's say.
Okay.
Like,
Maxine, huge. Yeah, like that's. I'm starting with the obvious.
Do we have a date?
We
on
don't
Maxine?
yet. We don't yet, but we know it's completed, and I think it's just been on hold because of all of the shenanigans around AI and greedy people in Hollywood. Okay, so that's a big one. Like when that comes out, it's a wrap. Like everyone get out of my way, opening day at the theater. And then I'm really looking forward to Lisa Frankenstein. Now that looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. It's Zelda Williams's debut. I think that one's going to be really good. That's personally what I'm really excited about. And then this one is not necessarily horror, it's horror adjacent, but I think it's going to be kind of like something horror fans are going to be into. It's more of a thriller, which is Love Lies Bleeding, which is the new Kristen Stewart kind of like crime thriller, like 80s set bodybuilding crime thriller that looks incredible.
Oh, that looks amazing, that trailer.
Right?
Yeah.
I watched the trailer like 5 times.
Are we counting that as horror? That seemed a little
I said adjacent. It's very adjacent, but like these are, and then they haven't announced the date for it, but the thing that like is on that I'm like keeping my eye out for, that the minute they announce this it's a wrap, is The Substance, which is Corley Forgo's follow-up to Revenge. That's the other one that I'm like all over.
Ooh.
It is a feminist body horror film starring Demi Moore.
So hello, Demi.
Yes. So
Ms. Moore, as I call her.
Those are like my biggies that I'm like, But I want to know about you guys.
I haven't seen her in anything in a while.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that she's doing that.
I don't ever look ahead, Rachel, so I don't know what's happening until someone tells me what I'm watching that week. So I couldn't tell
Rachel,
you.
how I
Except
saw
Civil
there's a
War.
thing-
That looks amazing.
There's a thing coming called The First Omen.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw that and rolled my eyes hard. Is that like an Omen prequel?
Mhm.
Don't know.
Probably.
Woof.
Probably.
It
I've
is
seen that out there
indeed.
too.
Yeah. Yep.
Because
Can we get a bingo card of
Omen-
like how many moments from that original film they're just gonna like recreate?
Did they let what's his name from Halloween direct it? Did they were like
Please tell me it's
I think-
DGG.
I think he's kind of in the doghouse because, like, he's like, I think I'm done
Oh.
with horror. We're like, yeah, I think
Yeah.
you're done with horror. That's correct.
Yeah, he's definitely. Rachel, they spent so much money on that Exorcist movie. We didn't even talk about. We went a whole 2023 recap. We didn't even talk about they fucking released an Exorcist movie.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
it didn't
the
even
worst
come
thing.
up. That's funny.
That's That's on the worst list for
Like
sure.
biggest disappointment of the year.
Yeah.
Would that be?
Yeah.
Would it that be your pick?
Disaster.
Although I wasn't that excited for it, but that's
It was
So take
Coming
all the
hot off
disappointment.
Halloween ends. I don't know how you could not have been excited about it. The anticipation was high.
Ooh, I'm looking at this Love's Lies Bleeding. Jenna Malone also in it. Jenna Malone is one of those people. She's in a movie. You're like, you're gonna see some fucked up stuff in this movie. Just strap in.
she's great.
Like,
Yeah, I like her.
she's
Yeah.
awesome.
You should watch
Yeah.
that trailer. It is good.
All right, I'm gonna check it out.
So I found a movie when I was going through looking for stuff that's coming out to start working on our calendar, and I found one that's coming out on Shudder here probably in a couple weeks, like on the 12th, I think. But it's called Destroy All Neighbors. And it sounds pretty generic. Struggling prog rock musician William Brown finds himself in a living nightmare when he accidentally kills Vlad, the neighbor from hell. But the best part, the thing that's got me excited, is the cast.
Yep.
We've got
Is Nick
Jonah
Cage in
Ray.
it?
No, we've got
No,
Jonah
you're gonna
Ray.
like this, Eric. I actually, when I got the press release for this, I was like, Eric's gonna want to watch this.
Yeah, we got Jonah Ray, we've got Alex
Boom.
Winter, we got Kumail Nanjiani, we got Thomas Lennon, we got John Daly.
Yeah.
The golfer?
No, the comedian.
I sign up for any Thomas Lennon. So.
Yeah. So
Who
I'm
is
excited.
Thomas Lennon?
Yeah, from
Reno
Reno
911.
Reno 911.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
that guy.
hilarious.
Lieutenant.
No,
you
but the
mean,
Jonah of
I'm
it
sorry,
all
John.
sounds
You mean
like-
Lieutenant Dangle?
Yeah,
Given name?
exactly. Yeah.
With his new boots.
Okay,
Some boots.
guys, I'm too tired. 2023 is over. Okay.
It's a wrap.
We're gonna wrap it up. We're gonna wrap it up here with the ceremonial deleting of the list from last year. So it's officially time to start over.
Oh my god, someone play taps. Oh, too late.
There it
Never
is.
mind.
No, he did it. It's too late. Yeah.
I'm gonna
I was gonna
twist it
fire
20,
17 cannons or whatever it is.
24, 17 gun salute for the end of
Yes.
the list here.
There you
And
go.
now we get to do it all over, John. One more trip around this rock.
Mhm.
Can't wait.
Okay. Here we are.
What are we doing week 1? What's next week?
know.
We haven't discussed. There's potentially a week off, but we can
Taking the week off. Got it. All right.
we can
We
potentially
did
do a show.
take the first week of January off last year too.
Yeah. Night
Rachel,
Swim comes out next Friday, so we would do it the week
okay,
after.
perfect. Rachel, where can people find you when you are not on the year ender?
Yes, if you want more of this, and who doesn't, you can find me at ZG Podcasts on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads. And then my personal is at Rachy Pants.
Love it. All right. That's going to do it for this episode and the year. Hope you enjoyed the year. And we'll talk to you
2023.
in 2024.
See you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.